Welcome to the Profit Playbook. I'm your host, Tracy Metcalf, and today I'm joined by Ed Gooderham. Welcome, Ed. Today we're going to be looking at the true cost of employing someone. Hi, Ed. So, when many business owners think about employing someone, the first thing they think about is the cost of their salary. But in reality, what are the costs for a business?
That's a very good question. It's one of the hardest things for business owners to do is employ that first person, because obviously it's somebody who's going to be a key part of your business and take a lot of your time up if you're one director by yourself. There's many different costs of bringing people into the business. Firstly, you're trying to look at the higher cost of trying to find somebody first, the advertising, if you use a recruitment firm, if you don't use a recruitment firm. And then once you find somebody that you want to employ, obviously there's a salary that you agree with them. There's holidays that they're going to take off, so they're not going to be working for you all the time. So you need to build that into your equation of how much time you're really getting for your money. And then you've got the national insurance cost, which is 15% now of anything over £5,000. Minimum wage is kicking in just over 24,000 if there are 37.5 hours. If you're 40 hours, it's slightly more like 25,000. And that's going up in April. So that's going up to £12.71 an hour. You've also got pensions. So auto-enrollment pension, which is great. It's right that the staff have pensions ready for the future. So you as an employer would contribute 3% and the employee contributes 5%. And you can delay that for 3 months just to make sure they get through probation and then put them onto the auto-enrollment scheme.
Yeah. What about other costs? You mentioned about recruitment there. I mean, how much is that going to cost the business to get recruitments in? Well,
this is it. I mean, advertising a vacancy, you can advertise it online. You could use LinkedIn. There's lots of other job sites you can use to try to put things out. Indeed is another one. So you pay for advertising for people when they click through to it. And especially Indeed, it varies depending on how many people click on it and how much you spend promoting it as well. Whereas a recruitment firm, you normally pay a percentage of the salary of the person you're taking on. And that can vary from 12 to 20%. So it's not a small, insignificant cost.
Yeah, it's a big extra cost. And you mentioned about like the first business or the first time employing someone. I'm assuming there's extra admin burden there as well. There's another cost involved.
Many people are very good at what they do. And then you've suddenly got to go from doing it all yourself, knowing that you're putting 100% into it and getting out the quality that you want, to then training somebody else to do what you want them to do. You're going from someone doing the work to someone who's actually managing somebody else. There's management skills you've got to learn in doing that, in delegating, in being able to review what they're doing and making sure it's the same quality that you want it to be for the business that you're running. And obviously that varies massively with different industries. Now, if you employ 50 people and you employ another one, you might have a HR part of your business that looks after a lot of this for you, or you might have management, or there might be different departments. And it doesn't all fall on the business owner. But certainly when you by yourself and employ that first person, second person, probably up to 15 people, a lot of that is on your head. And that's a lot of time of yours being spent on HR issues.
Yeah. And what about, you mentioned HR issues. Do they need to look at possibly outsourcing, getting HR advice?
I always advise clients to get HR advice when they start employing people, just simply because there's so much red tape, so many things that could trip them up in terms of the laws for employment. And it's also just safeguarding them and the employees. All of us as employers want to do well for our employees. We want to run good organisations that people want to work for. And therefore we just want to make sure we abide by all the rules. But also some of these HR advisors can give some good advice. Like one of the things we offer our staff is we give Benedin Health to them, so that they've got an access to GPs out of hours. They've got access to going partly down the private route for medical care, just simply because we had staff who couldn't get medical attention for weeks and weeks if they're ill. So that's something we took on and said, well, let's put something out there that actually helps our staff, but it's additional cost. It's things that HR advisors might advise because of different issues that you face.
Yeah, it says additional cost, but obviously that's a drawing into staff to work for you as well, to have that extra benefit.
Well, this is the other big issue. When you're employing people, you've also got to try to make yourself attractive to actually get traction of people who want to work for you. So therefore, you're trying to look at ways to differentiate yourself from other people in the industry and trying to make sure that people want to come and work for you. So that might be you have more holidays. So again, we as a firm decided to give staff an extra 10 days holiday as a way of incentivizing people to come and work for us when we changed our hours from 35 hours to 37 and a half. So now we're one of the industry leading in the number of holidays we give. Other clients, employers, they choose different things. It could be having more fun times with their staff. I mean, you hear of some firms and some other organisations where they take staff away for weekends and holidays. I'm not a great fan of that. I think HR-wise it causes more issues. But yes, the whole thing about employment is you want the best staff you possibly can get to help you grow your business. And those costs of employing them, like the recruitment firm, like these other things, they're things you've got to think about because they are real costs. But if you're trying to grow your business, you can't get much bigger by yourself.
So in order to grow your business and look at those extra costs, what can businesses do to see how that's going to affect them going forward?
Yeah, so what we tend to do with clients is we look at what extra work, what extra income, profit they're going to make when they take on more people to do specific parts of the job that they want that person for. Again, it's easier when they're larger because you can normally see quite an easy correlation between bringing somebody else in and what that will do for the business. When it's one person starting from scratch and bringing that second person in, there's an awful lot of the owner's time educating that person, training that person, unless they've been in the industry for years and can hit the ground running. And again, it depends on the industry and what you're doing. But you're trying to look to make sure that each person you're bringing in is actually helping you grow your business.
Yeah.
So in the service industry, take it as a garage or plumbers or electricians, and you're working on basically chargeable hours for doing the work. Each new mechanic you bring in, each new gas fitter, each new electrician, you should be able to work out, as long as you bring the work in, how much more profit is that going to make you? Because you know how much they're getting paid, you know how much you're charging out by the hour, and you know what the overheads are. And that's where it becomes really easy to do the numbers. You just got to make sure you get the sales and get that bigger activity.
Yeah, it is that big investment, isn't it? Having someone, employing someone, a big decision to grow, and without that investment, you may stumble yourself from growing further.
Well, this is it. You either stay as you are, and if you're happy with that level of growth, then that's fine. I have some clients, I say, look, don't employ anybody. You're making very good money for what you're doing. If you employ somebody, A, you got to train them, B, you got the quality issue, and is that client really good at managing people? Are they exceptionally good at what they're doing, and they can make plenty of money doing it that way? Other people are great at managing people. You can tell they've got the people skills to do it. And therefore, them actually growing their business, employing more people to help do more turnover, grow the business, grow the profit of the business for themselves and for the staff, is the best route. And this is where we sit down with clients and say, look, what do you want to achieve? And this is where we have these sort of discussions, and we look at, okay, the next few years, what do they want to achieve? If they want to get from 1 million to 5 million, they can't do that by themselves. So therefore, they need to grow the number of staff. They might need to grow locations. So they've got different management structures that might be needed. There's lots of things to think about and lots of planning to be done.
Would you sit down and do cash flows with the business?
Yeah, so we look at cash flows for clients to make sure that they're not creating too much capacity. Because the thing with staff is they are an overhead you've got to pay every month. So there'll be some people who might decide, actually, we'll go and get somebody on a self-employed basis. And you can do that in certain industries, and if they're working for you part-time or for somebody else part-time. But a lot of time when you employ people, you want them just to be working for you and not possibly your competitors. So you need to be careful about that. And the whole point of employment is that you can dictate an agreement with them what hours they're working for you, so you know what resource you've got. And then we can build that into the cash flows to see what sort of extra cost that's going to be for you, the client. And then we can look at also what income they're going to get from that person being there and what increase in profitability that we can actually get from employing that person.
Yeah, and obviously that needs to be carried out before you make that decision of employing someone.
That's a good idea. Not all clients like to do that. As you know, a lot of clients will just make decisions based on how they feel and what they think is right for their business, which 9 times out of 10 probably is right, but it'd be much better if they planned it, checked out that their cash flow and everything is okay for it. Oftentimes, the other time I often say to clients to employ more staff is when they're making a lot of money, but the owner is taking an awful lot of pressure from running the business. He's doing too many parts of the business himself. And if he ever wants to exit, then I'd be saying to him, actually, you need to separate out what you're doing into possibly 2 or 3 people. You doing a third of it, these other 2 people doing the rest of it, and therefore actually going and employing 2 high-level people to actually take the pressure off the owner. And interestingly, they start to enjoy the job a lot more as well.
Yeah, and I think you've covered this in the first episode of the Profit Playbook, if I remember rightly.
If we did exit strategies, possibly.
Yes, you did, yeah. So Ed, we talked about quite a lot of stuff in that conversation today. Is there a few points that you can give to someone to take away with?
So the first issue is when you're considering taking on an employee, you need to decide if you really want to take somebody on. Because like I said, some people, they're better to stay by themselves. The second thing is if you are taking somebody on, you need to compare the cost of and your time of you doing the recruitment and advertising it compared to using a recruitment firm. We almost always now use recruitment firms just because of the time cost more than anything else. And the third thing you've got to think about is the cost of employing that person compared to the extra profit you might be able to make. And you need to make sure you're very clear what roles that person's going to do and what they're going to bring to the business and how that's going to help you grow your business. And obviously, you can speak to your accountant about that to help you process those numbers and have a degree of certainty about what the outcome might be.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
I hope you found this episode useful today on the true cost of employing someone. If you'd like any advice or want a bit more information, then please feel free to reach out to us. But thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.